That song was everything that I wanted a band to be in 1986.
And I kept climbing the 80s ladder until I finally landed upon like Skid Row, Steelheart, Tiger Tails, Poison.
Who didn't want lyrics about partying like crazy and sleeping with anything that didn't have fleas?
Brett is probably one of the cutest chicks I've ever seen in this video.
And the girls were like, "Ooh, you go down slow like a shot of gin. You can go down on me, Brett, anytime you want." So,
or I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So you decide.
I think I'm going with number two, but no. Bret Michaels always had fucking the best abs. I was like, "You lucky fucker."
The air humping in the music video was amazing.
And I'm not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, there was a period of about 14 seconds back in college, but it was just a phase. I got out of it very quickly.
Probably wears a wig, which both you and I could benefit from.
I'm going to beat myself later, and not in the good way, okay? Look, I came here to do two things: chew bubblegum and talk hair metal. And it looks like I'm almost out of bubblegum. Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. And we got Ryan and his AC/DC tapestry back in the house because today we are talking about possibly the band that is most associated with the term hair metal, and that's Poison. Ryan and I are going to count down our 10 favorite songs from Poison. And with that, Ryan, the lead singer of the band Metalcast, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. What a great topic. Again, Poison is one of the all-time bands, man. Like one of the bands that really got me hooked, got me into this. I've seen them several times. My first one was in, I believe, 99 was Cinderella, Dokken, and Slaughter. It was just amazing. But anyway, I love this topic because it got me back into them, just like we do with all these bands. We never really leave them, but you really do a new deep dive, and it was great. But I got a disclaimer here: no ballads. Okay, I didn't put any ballads on my list, and I knew that you would pick up my slack.
Hey, shocker! I have ballads on my list.
I knew you'd pick up my slack, and I did represent Native Tongue one time. Okay. But like along with the Poison love, over the years I realized like how appreciative and positive Bret Michaels can be. And first of all, he's a Steelers fan like you and me. He's a total ripper like us, and probably wears a wig, which both you and I could benefit from. So, but really, he's like such a big inspiration by how positive his attitude is and how likable and personable he is. So it makes Poison that much more likable for me.
Yeah, and I've heard that from other musicians, just like from reading about people that have toured with them. And I bet I've seen Poison 15 times. And my first Poison show was supposed to be the Open Up and Say Ah tour in Fargo, North Dakota. I had tickets. It was almost a blizzard that night, and I lived about 40 miles from Fargo, and my mom would not let me go. And I get it as a parent now, but so my first Poison concert was in '93 on the Native Tongue tour with Damn Yankees, and it was great, and I've seen them many times since. And you're right, Bret Michaels, he's the ultimate frontman. He's a nonstop ball of energy. Now, I will say, I wish they would change things up. They play about the same 13 songs every fucking concert. But I heard, and I've seen in the last few years the bands on the stadium. I didn't see the stadium tour, but I've seen Def Leppard, I've seen Motley Crue, and I've seen Poison all over the last few years. And in my opinion, Poison is easily the best live show.
Yeah, and I believe we touched on it. I can't remember what episode, but I did see the stadium tour, and all the buzz was that Poison was stealing the show. And I feel like they did in a sense. I mean, Def Leppard are perfect and professional, but Poison was appreciative and energetic and impressive with probably the fact that people still kind of think CC isn't capable Well, he showed his skills as being quite capable, and they sounded great and looked great. And I thought it was a fantastic show.
Yeah, and that wasn't a knock on Def Leppard's a good live band, but just
Of
Brett's
course.
frontman energy is different than Joe Elliott's frontman energy.
Yes.
He in between songs, he is very entertaining.
Yeah.
Joe Elliott is more like, okay, here's the next song, so they sound phenomenal. But
Yeah.
for pure frontman, I'm gonna entertain the crowd. That's where I think Poison, beats a lot of bands. So
Yeah. And notice how we didn't bring up Motley Crue in that
yeah,
equation or that situation.
everyone knows that's a shit show. No offense, Motley Crue fans. Okay, I'm going to show a couple things that I framed. This is the original vinyl picture disc for the Talk Dirty to Me single. And I've taken to framing like old records and shit like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of stuff, this is a Look What the Cat Dragged In album flat. So it's, the same size as an album cover.
Yeah.
Couple more. Open Up and Say Ah album flat. And the last two, here's this came from Billboard for when Look What the Cat Dragged In went gold. It says 500,000 people poisoned. And then for when it went double platinum, 2 million people poisoned. So
Yeah. Nice.
some vintage Poison. And I told you before we were recording, like Poison is probably, I think I have the most stuff from Kiss, but Poison is right up there for the amount of shit in the House of Hair because, like we said, you think hair metal, you have to, Poison has to be one of the first bands that you mention when you talk about this genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, 10 songs. There's a lot of shit that I had to leave off. So it was difficult. But kind of just like with Warrant, this will be the second time we've done this with the band. With Warrant, we did 12. Here we made it even more difficult, and I think we'll just stick with this. So it's harder for us, and
Yeah.
the fans will know that they're getting the cream of the crop and not the cream of the crap. All right. With that, Ryan, let's get into it. You said you did include Native Tongue. I will mention Native Tongue at some point, and I have the sales figures. I'll probably just go through those when we get into the songs. So let's start with you giving us your number 10 from Poison.
Okay. Well, let me cop out here. Okay. So 10.1 and 2. I have to, okay? Because these were beyond honorables. I got Love on the Rocks and Look But You Can't Touch.
Okay.
As 10.1 and 2. I kicked him off the list. It was so tough. I honestly had 12 solid songs and I couldn't figure out which ones to cut. So it's a total cop out. But I love these two album tracks. In fact, they're my favorite album tracks on Open Up and Say Ah. And some of the others aren't so great. So anyway, I had to throw those out. They're beyond honorables. Anyway, my true number 10, kicking it off with a mega hit in Unskinny Bop.
Okay.
Odd song title, but great song and music video. Really cool CC riff, very typical Brett lyrics. The air humping in the music video was amazing. And I think it's an all-around awesome song that I still play to this day.
I think there's not enough air humping in music videos these
Not at
days.
all.
And that song did. So I won't say whether I have it in that's a huge hit.
Yeah.
And we were so I mean, the Open Up and Say Ah album was so huge that all of my friends, we were like, the new Poison is coming out, and it came out, when was it? I have it right here. In July of 1990. It was the summer before my senior year in high school. I was working at a place called Medora. It's a big tourist town. It was the best summer of my life. Like, we partied our asses off, and it was just a bunch of kids like 17 to 20 all living in a dorm in this small town.
What could go wrong?
And we I got that Poison, I got the Flesh and Blood cassette, and we just played the shit out of that the entire summer. So I completely get what you're saying. I do remember when I was a freshman in college, um, this guy, I knew a bunch of guys who just loved thrash and they hated glam.
Yeah.
And a guy we were sitting there drinking in my dorm room, and my roommate had a guitar. This guy goes, "You want to hear the dumbest guitar riff ever?" And then he tried to play the riff to Unskinny Bop, and and like he couldn't do it. And I'm like, and he fancied himself a guitar player. I'm like,
Yeah,
look, here, you talk about how Poison sucks and stuff. You can't even play that riff.
that's
So
right. It's a
I,
great
I
riff.
it's not like they were fucking Rush, but I do think they got too much shit as far as, oh, they can't play. I've seen Poison so many times, and they're a fucking phenomenal live band.
That's right.
So, okay, my number 10. And okay, I'm going to start off with my asterisk, my 10B, whatever you call it, because I wanted to have one native tongue song in here. So here's where my native tongue song comes in. Now, native tongue, 1993, Richie Kotzen or Kotzen or whatever his name is on guitar. Album goes to number 16 on Billboard, but it went gold, which was kind of a surprise for a band of Poison's ilk in 93.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I it I don't love that album. There are some songs, a few songs that I like, and
Yeah.
one of them is on this list as my 10B. It's Theater of the Soul. And when that opening, it's a ballad. When that opening guitar riffs comes in, it almost sounds like, is this fucking Every Rose Has Its Thorn Part Two? It's acoustic, but it's about the breakup with CC DeVille. The opening line is, on a cold night in a hotel in New Orleans came the final blow. And they're talking about like how after the MTV, if you remember the MTV Video Music Awards, CC has pink hair. He's
Yep.
hot as fuck. They played the song they were supposed to play on Skinny Bop. They played Talk Dirty to Me, led to a big fight. The band breaks up after that, and it's a phenomenal song. The lyrics are great. When the chorus says, I can't run, can't hide, can't get nothing right lately, theater of my soul.
Mhm.
It's my favorite song on that album, and that is the one song that will represent native tongue for me. Okay, that's 10B.
Nice.
My real number 10 is, and I think a lot of people don't even think about this song, but they put out a live album in 91 called Swallow This Live. And there's an extra track on there called So Tell Me Why. And I love that song. It's got a great guitar riff. The lyrics aren't just juvenile Poison, and hey, we love juvenile shit, but it's a little bit deeper. You can tell that the band is going through problems because if you watch the video, it got a video. Brett is the only one who appears live in the video. The other three are only shown through clips of past videos. So, I'm a lyric guy. There's a line in there that I love. Says, "But your river of emotion for me flows like a dried up stream." And so I think it's a great song. It's underrated. So they didn't really tour for this because there was infighting. They were about to break up. But that live album went gold. Came out in November of 1991, went gold. And So Tell Me Why, an extra track on it that I love.
Oh yeah. It's much higher for me, this song. I love this song. And well, while you were saying the lyrics, that's very Janie of him. That's coming like some deep Janie shit. I
Yeah.
loved that line too. And it's so hooky too. So
Yes.
I will hold off on what I have to say about this song, but it is up there.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. What's your number 9?
So yeah, good segue because this is the partner song on this one. I got No More Looking Back from Swallow This Live, which is another extra track on the double disc. So, like I said, my first of two killer songs off this Swallow This Live. The two I have are a lot like the Primal Scream and like Rock and Roll Junkie or Angela of this album. like the direction that Poison 91, 92 needed to go was No More Looking Back, So Tell Me Why. And the direction that Motley needed to go was Primal Scream, Angela, Rock and Roll Junkie, Punched in the Teeth by Love, stuff like that.
Yes.
So I correlate these two, and I'm like, God, I wish they could have just pulled it off for one more album in 92. It would have been so killer. Anyway, I love this song, specifically the chorus, and No More Looking Back.
Geez, I cannot remember that song right now.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm going to play it as soon as I get done.
Promises, no more looking back.
Oh, yeah. And I know it. I know it's just been forever since I've listened to it. Wow.
Yeah.
As soon as you said the title, I'm like, what the fuck is that off of? I'm like, is that off Crack a Smile or something?
It's off Hollyweird.
Oh, geez. Okay.
FYI, was off Hollyweird.
FYI, Hollyweird is not represented on my list. Oh, that album. Jesus. Okay. Great. Okay. Awesome. I need to check that out after this. Here's my number 9. Okay. Talk about, major hit. And I think in the first couple Poison albums, the hits in general were the best songs. I didn't always I loved them when they came out. Like now, sometimes the album tracks, I'm like, okay. I feel like Flesh and Blood, the album tracks were super strong.
Yeah.
So this is the opening single off the Open Up and Say Ah album. And I think people would maybe expect it to be higher, and it probably deserves to be. It's Nothing But a Good Time.
Nice.
And I think this is the party rock anthem of the hair metal genre. I've said that Metal Health, Bang Your Head from Quiet Riot is like the hair metal theme song, the national anthem of hair metal. But this is the party song. And I love the video. There's this guy washing dishes. He's like, fuck, man, this sucks. I hate my life. But next thing you know, his boss is giving him shit. He kicks open a door and there's Poison. I love the neon green logo. Oh, yeah. And you watch that video and it's just live. Mm-hmm. And they look like, oh my God, that is the greatest live. That is a band that I need to see now. And so that song just kicked off that album, which came out in 88. It went 5 times platinum. There will be other songs representing it later, but Nothing But a Good Time is my number 9.
Very good. If I'm not looking at my list up higher, but I believe it's middle of the pack for me. It's coming. I love that song.
Sure. Okay. What's your number 8?
All right. Well, here's a song that I'm currently absolutely obsessed with, and it's thanks to Metal Mike, and it's Blind Faith off of Native Tongue. Oh, yeah. So Metal Mike loves Native Tongue, and I'm trying to get into the rest of it. There's a couple songs I really like, but Blind Faith. We just did an episode, he and I, it was like a title wars. A lot of bands have the same song title, like Rattlesnake Shake, Motley Crue, and Skid Row. We put them head to head, which one's better. So this one was like Ron Keel's, what was that band he did with the all-female band?
Fair Game or something?
Fair Game.
Yeah.
Warrant, Blind Faith, and Poison. And I was like, no brainer here. And then I was like, oh my God, I love this song. Yeah. This song is freaking killer. So I haven't been able to stop playing this song. Really, really great Poison representation. It represents Poison the best on Native Tongue.
Okay.
Because like if you ignored it all these years, like my dumbass did, you got to check it out. There's not a hint of like the stupid blues or the stupid piano or the stupid gospel or anything like that. It's just pure melodic rock Poison, and it's kicked up a little bit of a maturity notch, and it's great. So I'm currently listening to it like a few times a day.
Jeez. And Native Tongue. So there are some, they didn't make the list. I like Stand. I like Until You Suffer Some, Fire and Ice. I can't, but that is one of those albums along with Skid Row's Subhuman Race and There's a couple more. Maybe Van Halen's 3 with Gary Sharon that I play them like once a year because I'm
Mhm.
like, fucking A. It's got to be, and I know a lot of people like Native Tongue. And I've
Yeah,
said this, Native Tongue is probably a very good album. I just can't look at it as a Poison album.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. All right. Another one I got to check out after we get done with this.
yeah.
My number 7, I feel, okay, a song I hate off Open Up and Say Ah, which I think was a big fucking mistake, was Your Mama Don't Dance. Okay, I can see why. I mean, it's a fun cover, but I don't think I really liked it even when it came out. And now I skip it anytime it comes on. But it
Yeah.
was a single, it got a video. Obviously the album went 5 times platinum. Here's the song that should have been the single. It's Love on the Rocks.
Nice.
The opening track, that guitar riff, and one thing that I thought Poison did really well back in the day was they knew how to let the guitar riffs breathe. Another band that is great at that is AC/DC. You get your dan 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 dan, breathe, space, like
Oh
Highway
yeah.
to Hell. You get that little 3 chord guitar riff, space.
Yeah.
It was like like you could get into it. And Love on the Rocks is great with that. It's a sex rocker, but it was just so fun. I put it right up there with Nothing But a Good Time. That's why it comes in at Nothing But a Good Time. I feel like that could have been that could have been their cherry pie,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
their fun sex song that, all the guys were like, yeah, and the girls were like, ooh, love on the rocks. Okay. Go down slow like a shot of gin. You can go down on me, Brett, anytime you want. So I love that song. It still makes workout playlists. They fucked up by not making it a single.
Yeah, great song. Like that's why I had to make it my honorable mention. And just for the record, Your Mama Don't Dance is definitely in my unhonorable mentions.
Oh,
The
and
music video is
it
kind of
became a,
entertaining.
it became a hit, but
Yeah,
in 1988, 89, anything Poison put out was gonna become a hit.
yeah.
I mean, they could have farted in a bag of Doritos and people would have been buying the shit out of that. So, okay, you're number 7.
All right. Here's where I got the classic Fallen Angel. And how could anybody deny this one? This riff is Poison 1988 in a nutshell.
Yep.
Great song. And at one point, this was the epitome of Poison for me. Probably my favorite Poison song for like a year or two in my peak Poison love. The video's great. They still play it live, obviously. And again, it's one of those riffs that breathes a little bit.
Yes.
Even though got a little bit more involved than Love on the Rocks, it breathes, and it's like a definite, catchy, memorable riff.
And I like the story lyrics. You weren't getting that a lot. You got some of that from Bon Jovi, like I think Blood on Blood, if you
Yeah.
remember that song. Warrant later on with Uncle Tom's Cabin, but there's a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Or the video kind of has the ending part, but
Yes.
this girl goes off, leaves her family, and you remember the chick Susie Hatton in the
Oh
video?
yeah.
She
I think
actually
that was Brett's main squeeze for a while.
that
I
was
think.
Brett's girlfriend, and she put out an album, and I
Oh,
have it. I think it was
oh,
called Body and Soul, and Brett produced it, and it probably sucks. I mean, I probably listened to it once, but anyway, yeah, great video, and
yeah.
great song. So
Right.
I won't comment any further. But
Oh, I
all
see.
right, we're on to my number 7, and uh, I you said you didn't include any ballads, and I love Poison ballads, and so I'll tell you from Look What the Cat Dragged In. I Won't Forget You did not make my list. To me, that was them like kind of trying to figure out. It's a good song, but trying to figure out how to do ballads. But by Flesh and Blood, when the song Something to Believe In came out, that was so far beyond lyrically. It wasn't the oh baby, you and I are so in love, or we're gonna make it, or I miss you. I mean, so I'm a vet, but I wasn't even in the military when this song came out. But when he starts talking about veterans with like PTSD. 22 years of mental tears, cries a suicidal Vietnam vet who fought a losing war on a foreign shore to find his country didn't want him back. I literally got goosebumps just reading that. It's got that great piano intro and like I mean, even the rest of it, their bullets took his best friends in Saigon. Our lawyers took his wife, his kids, no regrets. In a time I don't remember, in a war he can't forget. Those are phenomenal lyrics. And so, like I said, this is I'm 18 now when this album, almost 18, when this album comes out. I still love, back then, Unskinny Bop, all that, I'm partying, but I always had this side of me that wanted these deeper lyrics. I mean, when, like, for example, Faster Pussycat's House of Pain, when that thing came out, I loved that song. Like, I wanted that. I wanted the stupid, goofy shit, and I wanted stuff to hit me right here and something to believe in hit me right here. And I still love that song.
Yeah, love that song. Love that video. Very impressive lyrics.
All right, you're number 6.
Here's where I got nothing but a good time, and I will never leave this hit out. I love this song. I never turn it off. I love the video. It's amazing. Brett is probably one of the cutest chicks I've ever seen in this video. He kind of won me over in this one, being like the star, the guy, like the David Lee Roth, the Vince Neil, the Bret Michaels. Like this, he might take the cake on this video. Right. But like you said earlier, killer music video. I love it. It's so energetic, and it does want to make you go see that band with all the lights and colors and everything. So I still really enjoy this song.
All right. My number 6. So when Look What the Cat Dragged In came out in 86, the first single was a song called Cry Tough. Mm-hmm. Didn't really do all that well. And I'll throw this out there. A lot of Bret Michaels called Look What the Cat Dragged In a glorified demo. They recorded it in 12 days. It only, this may sound like a lot, but 23 grand is a pittance to spend on making an album. Yeah. So most people didn't think this thing was going to do anything. But then they release as a single this song called Talk Dirty to Me. And holy shit, that became the song of the summer of 1986. And that opening guitar riff is insanely catchy. The lyrics, they're not like overly dirty, but they're fun. They're kind of risque, at the drive-in in the old man's Porsche. And so when you were 14, everything that could drive a 14-year-old crazy was in that song. And you just wanted, like, I remember, they'd play that song at like school dances and shit. And you were like, oh, I want to be like at the drive-in with my chick and hear it, So to me, that might be the epitome. That might be, I just talked about Nothing But a Good Time, but Talk Dirty to Me might be, well, I think it's the song that blew the band up, and it might still be the song that Poison is most known for.
Yes, absolutely. It's not on my list. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Dude. I know, dude. It's not on there. I knew you'd pick me up. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's not. But I don't know what's wrong with me, dude. But there's a few others that kicked it off. I love the song. Don't get me wrong. The video's amazing, entertaining. Live back in the day, so entertaining. They did it very well. So I got nothing against it other than there was some other songs where I was like kind of feeling more at this point.
You are always good for throwing the audience a curveball, and I like it because the videos are never boring when you're on. So I still think it's kind of fucked up. That song isn't on the list, but nevertheless, it just took this video for a dramatic turn that I didn't see coming. So
I'm either so deep in my Poison love that I put these random songs on there, or I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So you decide.
I think I'm going with number 2, but no. Okay. All right. Let's go on to your number 5.
Number 5 is where I got Flesh and Blood. And this is getting into some serious CC riffage.
Yep.
Song, the chorus, the diversity of it. It's pretty mature for Poison. And they really grew up a lot on Flesh and Blood. I mean, you read the lyrics to Something to Believe In. And then several songs on this album, even Ride the Wind has some more serious stuff. So like, I'm just saying this song this album, they kind of grew up in it. It was a good look for them. It was a small, like one step up in the maturity from Open Up and Say Ah, but it was very necessary for that time period for them. But I think a lot of people really respect and like this song. So I've always really liked it.
I feel like they struck a fine balance on Flesh and Blood between, hey, you had your goofy, unskinny bop, but then you had a lot of deeper shit. That's a band like, no offense, we just did a roundtable on Def Leppard. Def Leppard should have struck that balance more on Adrenalize.
Yeah.
Hey, have your Let's Get Rocked, but after Steve Clark died, you could have had something so dramatically deeper and maybe darker that, could have propelled them into the 90s. I felt like Flesh and Blood with songs like Flesh and Blood kind of did that for Poison, even though most of these bands weren't going to survive the 90s no matter what they did.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And off topic of Poison, but I absolutely wish that Def Leppard would have gone a little bit more like Fractured Love, Desert Song, the retroactive stuff in 91, 92, 93. That little era right there for Adrenalize. But anyway, I still love Adrenalize. Yeah. And Brian, it's a killer album.
Brian basically took the biggest shit that's ever been taken on Adrenalize in our Def Leppard roundtable. So
don't cut me right here.
I mean, shit, he's in Connecticut, and I think I got some of that shit on me here in North Dakota. Hey, I got to scratch my nose, man. I'm not going to pick my nose, but I got to scratch it, but I'm not going to show you. So here, hold on. Oh, there we go. All right. Nobody's going to say, hey, I fucking saw the guru picking his nose. What a loser. All right. That was your number 5, right?
Yeah.
My number 5. So I mentioned it earlier, but I don't want to give it away that it was going to be on my list. I love the first single off Look What the Cat Dragged In. I think Cry Tough is phenomenal. And the first single on any album, but this is the first single in their career that is supposed to announce what you are about, maybe what the album is about. But this was like, here is what Poison is about. And I loved that they were positive at what, the grunge shit started to get into, why even bother? The world sucks. And they were like, fuck, you got to get out on the streets and make your dreams happen. You got to cry out to the world, make them all come true. We can do this. Bret Michaels, when you see him live, he's just positivity. They're fun. I don't want rock and roll to bring me down. I want rock and roll to be an escape from all the other shit that does bring me down from time to time. That's what Poison did. That's what that song did. That song was everything that I wanted a band to be in 1986. It wasn't a big hit. I think it could have been. That's my number 5.
Very good. It's on my honorables.
Okay, sure.
That's it.
Right. Great. Moving on to your number 4.
All right. So here's where I have So Tell Me Why. And it's up there on my list. And just like you said, but I guess when you're as on top of the world as Bret was in 91, all you need is his performance in the video. And I always thought that was so funny that the rest of the band is just live spliced in shit. And it's just Bret performing, which is great. He's in various locations and looks good. And his song is obviously amazing. But this pre-chorus, To Die For, perfect. Again, perfect direction for Poison in 91, 92. And I wish they would have stayed there like Motley stayed there. And anyway, so I talked about that. But So Tell Me Why it's a big one for me. And it's, like you said, it's overlooked because it's at the end of disc 2 on the double album Swallow This. But yeah, it's a good one.
So Tell Me Why for Poison is is similar to Thin Disguise for me from Warrant.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was on an album, a greatest hits. Thin Disguise was. So Tell Me Why was just an extra song on a live album. But I think those are two, yeah, obviously we put them in the top 10, two of the best songs in that band's catalog. And they're just kind of almost throwaway tracks in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that song. And shit. I was always said Bret Michaels always had fucking the best abs. I was like, you lucky fucker.
I know.
You know,
You skinny, probably like 130 pounds. You're fine.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right. Okay. My number 4. Again, we talked about Flesh and Blood and how, you know, they went in the right direction. They had this deeper stuff. I don't, and obviously the album went triple platinum. So it went to number 2 on Billboard. It's not like, you know, it didn't need any help. But I think that the song Life Loves a Tragedy should have been a single. I love it's musically so catchy. There is this melodic, almost ballad part at the beginning. I'm going to get into the lyrics of it, and then it kicks in. Maybe my favorite Poison lyrics of all time in that song. So utterly catchy. I don't know why it wasn't a single. Just let me read the first part, that ballad part. Of all the words I've spoken and lies that I've told, of all the hearts left broken, begged for, bought, and sold. Lord, I'm feeling lonely, feel like I can't go on. The streets have all gone cold now. The mystery's all gone. I love that song, and you know that is always okay. Here's another Warrant comparison.
Yeah,
Life Loves a Tragedy is my Mr. Rainmaker from Warrant. I love Mr. Rainmaker. I thought it should have been a single. I thought it could have been a hit. It's just kind of this album track that a lot of people love. That I feel like is the same thing with Life Loves a Tragedy.
Very good. Killer that you included that, dude. That's a really kind of a deep track that not a lot of people would go to, but I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're moving on to your number 3.
My number 3. It's time for another signature curveball. I don't know why I put this song so high. I don't know why I like it so much, but it's always really stood out to me on this album, and it's Ball and Chain off of Flesh and Blood. Okay? I mean, I didn't put Love on the Rocks. I didn't put Look But You Can't Touch. And I added this one, and I put it at number 3. So I think I just like the smooth intro, the vocals, the guitar riff, and the big chorus. I know I'm a weirdo here, but here it is. And if you're not familiar with it out there, maybe you'll dig it, and maybe you're into it too, and maybe I'm not crazy, but this was one of those songs where I thought this could be a single. It's super catchy, and I probably put it right next to Ride the Wind and Unskinny Bop on this album, and Flesh and Blood. So this is where I got Ball and Chain. Blow me up in the comments.
I'm shocked, and you've thrown me for a few curveballs now, I'll be honest, and you're known for your curveballs. And I like the curveballs because, you know, it's always like something new instead of just, okay, here's what I can expect. I probably do a lot of just what you can expect. I always have a couple curves.
You got some
anyway. I like that song. I really do. I mean, I just, you know, and you were talking about it, like one of the greatest things about this channel is you are absolutely right. The amount of shit that I loved way back in the day, but never listened to anymore. I bring out now, you know, since I started this channel, you know, I listen to so much more fucking hair metal than I did before. It's always been a huge part for me, but you know, you move on to new shit, and I still try to find new bands, but damn. So I've been listening to Poison like crazy, and just been reminded of how great the Flesh and Blood album is, but I never expected to see Ball and Chain. There are other songs that I considered putting on from Flesh and Blood, you know, that didn't make the cut, and I'll get into that when we do some honorable mentions. But okay, Ball and Chain, you're number 3. Wow.
Well, I mean, between Blind Faith off Native Tongue and Ball and Chain, during this revisit phase for me and Poison, I'm like, oof, I'm going back to those two, and I love it. But I'll tell you, when you've refamiliarized yourself with this song, which maybe it's playing in your head right now, but what you were saying about those kind of like easier, like not tough to do Brett vocals,
Yep.
and I put that in this, you said it earlier, it's like perfect for them to do nowadays. It's not that difficult. Funny, I mentioned it in my little notes and write up about Ball and Chain. If you think about the opening verse, it's like that would go over very well right now as well. Like it's just smooth and powerful.
And speaking of them, and they're awesome live, but even when they play headline shows, they usually play like 13 songs.
Yeah.
No offense, but like when I saw Kiss, and they have two singers, but they're playing like 22 songs.
Yeah.
I feel like Poison could throw a little bit more shit in the pot if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. All right, damn. Here we go. Okay. My number 3. And I don't know, how if this would be surprising or not. Another song that I feel like, how in the fuck was this not a single? It's got I think the heaviest guitar riff in the band's catalog. It's the title track of the Look What the Cat Dragged In album. Now, Cry Tough was a great opening statement. This is a band, we're about fucking going out and we're going to make this happen. We are going to succeed no matter what. We are going to bust our ass until it happens. But Look What the Cat Dragged In is like, okay, here's what we do after we busted our ass to try to make it. We go out and drink, smoke, and bang chicks and wake up feeling like shit and then do it all again the next night. And that's kind of what, kind of reminds me of me in the 90s anyway. So I love the guitar riff. It's almost kind of punky. And, when you're young and all you think about is having fun with your friends and partying and shit, that was a fun party single. And I don't know. I always thought it was a single.
Right.
I grew up thinking that it was a radio song. It wasn't, but it still is the song that opens every Poison concert. And, who didn't want lyrics about partying like crazy and sleeping with anything that didn't have fleas and sometimes things that did? So I love that song. It's my number 3.
Very good. I'm going to remain silent, and it's not my number 2. So now you know.
All right. What is your number 2?
My number 2 is Ride the Wind. And at one point in preparing this list, these two were switched. But I'll give my reasons. But Ride the Wind is the Def Leppard Animal equivalent in the Poison catalog to me. It's a perfect song. It's the perfect hooks. It's the perfect riff. It's just serious enough lyrics to be mainstream accepted with huge background vocals. And so let me put it this way. This came out when I was in 4th grade. So I was like 9 or 10 when this came out. And I remember it. And it was on MTV. And a girl brought the tape to, sharing or show and tell. And she played this song and the teacher was not stoked. And I loved this song when I was a child. And at that point, I knew one band and it was AC/DC. And I knew some of the other bands, like classic rock bands that my brother and my dad played. But I was just entering my AC/DC phase when this album came out. But this song, I recall very well. I loved it when it was brand new and I was fucking 9 or 10. So I love it still. Maybe I need to mature more, or maybe maybe I'm maturing with the song. But or maybe it's just the staying power of this song is amazing. And I think that's it, because I don't get sick of this. And there's songs out there that have that. And I'm like I said, I'm not a guitar player, so I don't know if there's a name for this type of riff, but it's that little like Europe does it a lot. If you think of like AC/DC does it, Post, If You Want Blood, You Got It. It's like the where they kind of like, it's that little break in between there.
Yep.
And they do, it's the, you think of the main riff, and then right before Brett comes in, CC does the little like tapping. It's like, TNT does it. Europe does it. AC/DC even does it. Poison loves to do it. And it fits so well in this song. Never gets old.
I love the lyrics. I love, I'll be honest, it's not on my list. And that was, you're right. That was the one that I agonized over. That song is about the bikers that go to the Sturgis bike rally in South Carolina. It is the world's biggest motorcycle rally, and Bret Michaels went there, and he's just like all these, so all the lyrics are about that. And I've been there a few times, and it is unbelievable. Sturgis is a little small town, but during bike week, it turns into like 100,000 bikers show up to this town of about 2,000. And insane. So and again, the positive lyrics, I love that opening guitar riff, and just, I think, it just, hearing you talk about it, I'm like, can't believe I left it off.
I thought it was going to be your number one.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
that's okay. You pick up my slack, I pick up yours.
Yeah. I'm gonna beat myself later, and not in the good way. Okay. So, all right, we're down to the last two favorite songs, and you've already covered this one, but my number 2 is "Fallen Angel," and I've already talked a bunch. I love the story. This is something so completely out of what you expected in 1988 to get from Poison. These deep lyrics about, somebody who wants to make this big change in their life and realize that, hey, it's not going to be the walk in the park that you thought it was. And besides being such an awesome story, the video was phenomenal and the music was catchy as shit. And I still crank the shit out of this anytime it comes on. So Fallen Angel, my number 2.
I respect it, man. That's good shit.
All right. We are on to the number ones. What is your favorite song from Poison, Ryan?
The all-time scorcher Poison song, "Look What the Cat Dragged In." And this is my only representation off this album, which I kind of realized towards the end. And I was like, ooh, what's that say about this? But a lot of the same things you had. Hard ass riff, killer drum intro, and what a great opener. I mean, it's the perfect Poison opener. And this song really re-engaged me in Poison in like the late 90s, because I tapped out in my AC/DC catalog in 95. And then I began my quest to find all the bands that kind of sounded like AC/DC or that they inspired. Right. So I kind of started in the early 80s. That was Crocus, Scorpions, Y&T, Van Halen. And I kept climbing the 80s ladder until I finally landed upon like Skid Row, Steelheart, Tiger Tails, Poison. And this song was on the best of that was released in the 90s.
Yep.
And it was the standout for me. And like you said, it wasn't a single. And if I recall, in the liner notes of that CD, they talk about it being a fan favorite, but not a single. And how, dude, can you imagine if they had released a 1986 or 87 music video for this song? It would have been so fucking epic. So yeah. But anyway, it is odd that this is my only representation off of Look What the Cat Dragged In, but I like the album, but I especially love this song and I regularly crank it, and I'll never stop.
I'll be honest, there was a part of me, because I put them in order, but there was a part of me that's like, oh, that might be my definitive Poison song. So I damn near put it at I did it at number 3, but I salute you, because to me, that song just screams Poison, and it screams hair metal, and I fucking love it. So, all right. My number 1. You have a guess? It's Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And I know on the Warrant episode, I also had a ballad, I Saw Red. Everybody knows I love pussy ballads, but I love the fun party songs. I love them. But ballads have just always hit me different. And not, it can be the lovey stuff, it can be that. But I just musically, no. So check this out. everyone knows this song, but I think when you look back, I think we forget how ahead of its time it was. In 1988, no bands were doing acoustic ballads. It was all the big power ballad. You did have songs that were opening up with piano, but mainly it was power ballads. Now this kicked off. In the next year, you get Warrant's Heaven,
Yeah.
and so I mean, sure, somebody in the comments will be like, "Hey, dude, you forgot about this." So I'm not okay. Maybe, but when I look back, when I think of the major ballads, and I did a video of the top 10 hair metal ballads of all time. This was my number one. I just
Nice.
don't remember anything that started off with that simple, quiet. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, so and it's 1988, and here Bret Michaels is sitting in a chair. He has a beard on. You know,
Yeah.
3 years before grunge started and fucking everybody started wearing facial hair. So
Yeah.
not that that's that's no big deal, but just it seemed to me to set the standard for what a hair metal ballad wanted to accomplish. And those I don't know if they're simple lyrics, but every rose has its thorn, just like every night has its dawn. Just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Every rose. I don't. I've always loved that line. I loved in the late 80s bands like Bon Jovi did it really well, but they had that Western cowboy influence. A lot of the popular movies around that time, Young Guns,
Mhm.
later on Tombstone. So the Old West was kind of becoming in for a while. And that weary acoustic guitar just kicked off what, in my opinion, is the greatest hair metal ballad of all time. It makes it my number one Poison song of all time.
Well, CC really shows off too. You
Oh,
know, like
totally.
in between the verses, he shows off. Obviously, the solo he shows off, and it's really cool to hear that massive difference between the acoustic main riff and then CC kicking in with his electric over the top, and it sounds perfect.
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember, I think it was Tom Werman, I think was the producer, but I remember an interview with him and he's talking about like, did you know about Every Rose? And he goes, oh yeah. He goes, Brett played that once and, you know, we, fixed it all up, orchestrated the shit out of it. And when we played the finished product, like everyone was like, this is the one. And,
Yeah.
and it still is. I don't get tired of that song. And we talked in the Def Leppard roundtable about the little things that you catch, like that little guitar pick that you hear at the beginning of Photograph,
Yeah.
the opening to shit, was that Rock of Ages?
Yeah.
But that sigh, that deep breath that Brett takes at the I for some reason I just think that is so cool. And
Yeah. It's
then
those little touches makes it
yeah,
stand out.
yeah. And then in the video, he's like laying next to that hot chick and
Yeah.
he gets out of bed and it's like, damn, like I can see your junk, dude. Like put that shit away. But anyway, classic song and off an album that went 5 times platinum, and Every Rose Has Its Thorn did go to number one on the Billboard charts.
That's huge. Yeah. I love that song, man. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. So let's what are there's got to be some honorable mentions. I have some. What are some of the ones that you wanted to put in but you just didn't have room?
Yeah. Something to believe in. Want some, need some. Valley of Lost Souls, I really love. Another one off Native Tongue called 7 Days Over You. And then the one I thought you might have was I Want Action. And it was, I love that song
Yep.
off Look with Cat Dragon. Have you ever seen what they call it, Easy Action with Key Marcello?
Yep.
And you know the whole drama
The
about that
whole
song?
that like they kind of copied that song
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
Easy Action. Yes.
If people that are watching or listening don't know, I think it's called We Go Rockin'. And
Yes.
you
Something like
can
that.
YouTube that song, and
Yes.
it's the exact chorus of I Want Action. And they sued Poison and they won. And like when you hear it, you'll be like, oh, no wonder they won.
Easy
But
Action is the name of the band, and it's like,
that's
yeah,
right.
let's go rockin' or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, great song. So those are my honorables.
Okay. Mine, well, the first one was Ride the Fucking Wind,
Yeah.
which I'm like, how the hell did I? Anyway, Ride the Wind. Off Native Tongue, Until You Suffer Some Fire and Ice. I thought that was a really good ballad. I Won't Forget You. Off Flesh and Blood, Let It Play. Remember
Yeah.
that a cappella chorus at the beginning where they're kind of
Yeah.
fucking around and great lyrics. Come Hell or High Water, Flesh
Yeah.
and Blood, Sacrifice, and then I thought Life Goes On was a pretty good ballad.
Yeah.
So those are my honorable mentions. With that, I just am commenting right now. Like when you were on a call, I was commenting on comments from the Warrant video, and a lot of people are liking that. So we will definitely do more bands, this format with me and you. We'll see if Brian wants to do one top 10 songs. So we'll, as soon as we get done with this, we'll figure out the next band that we're going to do. With that, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on to talk about one of the biggest hair metal bands of the genre.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, subscribe. You have the opportunity to be a member. It costs a couple bucks a month. I try to give you some benefits, whatever you can do. I appreciate you being here. And hey, please go leave your top 10 Poison songs in the comments. With that, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Until the next video comes out, take care.